Peenaz Devani. I'm a customer success manager with A/B Tasty. And A/B Tasty is basically an all-in-one conversion optimization suite. So what we like to say is that we equip digital marketers, product teams, everywhere where CRO is kind of a part of a company's lifestyle and business model. We kind of help them and serve as their digital lab, equipping them with the tools that they need. So it's not just about A/B testing. We offer personalization, different types of testing, such as multi-page and multivariate. We also help gather quantitative and qualitative data. So what I mean by that is we have a session recording platform, we provide NPS surveys, and everything that you kind of need to do to get started and kind of master this whole art of CRO as part of your digital marketing landscape.
Impressive.
Yeah,
That was a good speech. I liked it. So, all right. So let's try to dive a little bit deeper into it. So, can you give me a little bit of insight about like what each of the tools that is available within the suite?
Okay, sure. So let's start with user insights, because the whole idea that A/B Tasty wants to offer is for you to create the tests, but also gather the data and kind of analyze to even have your hypotheses so that we can work together to build what's called an optimization roadmap. So in our insights panel, you're going to have the ability to gather that qualitative data. So with user insights, for example, we have the session recording feature, which I just mentioned. So basically, session recording allows you to screencast a visitor's actions on your site so that you can understand the user journey, customer engagement, and also identify pain points within certain areas of the customer journey. So for example, if a user is on your site, they encounter kind of a 404 error on your page, maybe on the checkout, that's definitely a pain point that might lead to, abandonment from the site. So you know that there's a pain point there. It could be like a very simple error. It gets fixed very quickly, but because the user has seen that, that's not an optimal user experience. So hopefully these kinds of session recordings are going to give you insights so that you can fix these kinds of errors. But otherwise, also maybe if there's a photo on your homepage on the hero that's not clickable and you see that a user is trying to click on it, you might want to test that and make sure that that photo or that image is clickable so that users can get the relevant and right content. So kind of gathering data on those kinds of insights will allow you to have your hypotheses ready to go so that you can build them out inside of A/B Tasty. So that's kind of like a very simple part of the user insights platform. There's also NPS surveys. So if you want to collect feedback, real-time feedback from your users, you can kind of publish these surveys to kind of understand and gain feedback from your customers. So after that, let's say you have your list of hypotheses, you have your optimization roadmap. The whole idea here is that you're going to use A/B Tasty's WYSIWYG editor to kind of build out the tests. So as always, you're not going to just use, a simple A/B test to change colors. Maybe you've already done that. Maybe that's not important in terms of your KPIs or your metrics. So you can use, the multi-page test to do some funnel testing. You can use our predictive testing, which uses dynamic traffic allocation. So based on your, primary KPI, you're going to drive more traffic to a successful variation. You can do MVT testing. All of that is based inside of our testing interface. So that's where you're going to kind of build out the test, write out the targeting to, tell A/B Tasty what kind of customer is going to be targeted for these kinds of tests, and then launch with your traffic allocation choice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I don't even know where to begin. So let's, okay. So what would you say is the ideal customer, the ideal seller to actually utilize this platform?
So I think A/B Tasty has actually been used by a myriad of departments inside of a company. So CRO is kind of evolving. So we've had clients that are digital marketers and are part of a digital marketing team inside of a company. A lot of the times CRO is also housed inside of a product team or part of the product department, because sometimes testing can be intuitive with our WYSIWYG editor or intuitive editor. But it can also be kind of complex if you want to add, custom code, you want to add some CSS, you want to add some, stylistic changes to your page. So that might be housed inside of the product team, and kind of like understanding how we can evolve the product through testing, of course, and, having QA as a part of the product team. And then also you're going to need developers sometimes with, to kind of be a part of your CRO strategy. So it can also be housed inside the dev team, or have, you know, your developers or your, you know, technical team involved. So actually, A/B Tasty can be used by a ton of different departments. It's not, you know, siloed to one particular area of a company. It can be useful, and we have cross-departmental, you know, functions and uses with A/B Tasty as well.
Okay. So Q4 coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Testing a lot during Q4 isn't always the safest bet, just in case something breaks, something happens. So what do you guys usually suggest to do around this time of year? Do you usually suggest, like, you know, if Q4 is part of your season, then, you know, test all summer and then stick with that through Q4 and then test again? Or do you kind of do incremental? What do you guys see as best practices?
Definitely. So what I would say with A/B Tasty, a cool thing about us is that we offer a testing panel, but also personalization. So the whole idea here is that you're probably going to be testing throughout the summer, trying to find optimal experiences. And we know that Q4, you know, especially for e-commerce websites, it's the holiday season. We're going to have high amounts of traffic. We want to make sure we know what works and what doesn't work well before the season kind of starts. So the whole idea is that you're kind of testing around Q1, Q2, Q3, trying to make sure that you have everything in place. Once you find these successful variations, you can actually create personalizations inside of A/B Tasty. So what you can do is, let's say your variation one with, you know, a top banner, you know, promoting the special sales that are going on is actually working really well to drive customer engagement and clicks on that banner. You're going to be able to create a personalization inside of A/B Tasty so that the test is no longer a test. Now all 100% of your traffic is going to see that personalization. Or you can even be a little bit more advanced and say, okay, it seems like from our reporting and our filtering, it seems like returning visitors are doing really well. You know, those that are returning customers, repeat purchases. So we know that we should only show this kind of promotional banner to returning visitors, and, you know, kind of leave it to the original for new customers. So the whole idea of personalization is really key during the holidays and during Q4, during the end of the year, so that you can provide a customized experience to your website visitors. And, you know, not all traffic is going to be the same.
Wow, okay, good answer. So let's try favorite question. Case study, like what was, like, this company was here and then they tried us and now they're here. Like, I'm sure everyone's got that, like, perfect situation. So you want to tell us about a couple of those?
Totally. So let's choose one from, you know, the e-commerce space. So we have one of our clients, they are Ashley Furniture. So they are quite, you know, prominent in terms Ashley Home Store. Sorry, are we still okay? Can you hear me?
Good. Yeah.
Perfect.
So so far it's 5 weeks in a row now where every week I say to people, do not call me. I have to do a live video on my phone, and they always call me. I'm sorry, but this time we're good.
It's totally okay. I can understand. You're a very popular person.
Yes, I think it was my mom, but it's fine. Keep going.
So I think I was just talking about one of our clients, Ashley Home Store. So, you know, they're part of the e-commerce vertical. As part of their testing, they wanted to actually test on account creations and how to kind of eliminate that kind of pain point inside of the checkout funnel where you have to manually add your address every time and go through many parts of a checkout funnel when you're, you know, ready to convert or buy a product. So what they did is that they used A/B Tasty's Widget Library. So what the Widget Library is that it's a library of about 30 plus customizable templates that we have inside of the editor so that you can create modals, pop-ins, banners, countdown banners, a lot of different things that are actually ready to use right out of the box inside of the A/B Tasty editor. And then, of course, you can kind of modify and manipulate that with your own HTML, CSS. One of the widgets that we have is called Virtual Click. So with Virtual Click, what Ashley Home Store tried to do is that when a user tries to create an account, so when they're going in for the checkout funnel or they're creating a new account on Ashley's website, they're basically going to simulate this virtual click that goes straight to the tab of filling in your address. So that kind of simulates that this part is kind of mandatory in terms of finishing and creating that account, but actually it's helping the customer, because when the customer kind of adds their address, it's kind of saved as the default. And when a user goes into the checkout funnel and is ready to buy a product, that address is already pre-populated as their shipping address. And of course, it's just one checkbox to kind of use it as your billing address as well. So that's kind of eliminating a big part of, the checkout funnel is, the step 2 for your shipping, so that maybe you can just go ahead and add your payment, review the order, and then go ahead and, buy the product. So just using that, virtual click to direct users straight to inputting their address actually really helped to convert users. They saw definitely a high improvement in terms of transactions, and then also account creations as well. So successful account creations is another KPI, but of course for an e-commerce company, overall transactions is probably your primary, goal. So seeing an uptick in that is really, really helpful, and kind of eliminating that pain point inside of the user journey. Using A/B Tasty was, a really big win for us and for them.
Yeah. So I'm obviously familiar with the platform. We spoke before. I've played with it. There's a ton of different tools. Every time I see something like, oh, this is cool, let's do this, and I end up nerding out on it. But when someone first starts, you have so many tools, so many options, so much that you can test. How do you suggest someone who's just starting on your platform, like, where do you tell them, like, start here, then go here? Like, what does that journey look like?
Sure. So what I want to say about that is your customer success manager is your best friend when it comes to A/B Tasty, because they're probably, they're working on A/B Tasty every day. They know the product really well. So they're going to be able to kind of help you in terms of getting started. So that's not just implementation and, a training session. They're kind of with you throughout the entire journey with A/B Tasty. So when you're new, definitely, use your CSM to the full advantage that you can. Go ahead and ask them questions, get in touch with them. But as a new person to kind of CRO and A/B Tasty and A/B testing in general, definitely make sure that you have your optimization roadmap in place. So whether you're doing it inside, internally, you're talking to your UX design team, your technical team, your digital marketing team to kind of figure out what you want to test, so that when you do go into A/B Tasty, you already have a clear sense of direction as to where you want to go in terms of building out some of these tests, for, the first few instances. And then the good thing about A/B Tasty is that we're pretty intuitive. The interface is really intuitive. You can see that it's very easy to create tests, go into the editor, use the WYSIWYG, intuitive options such as edit style, edit text, and go ahead. And then we have a step-by-step in terms of documentation, but also inside of the interface to say step 1, add your URL. Step 2, go into the editor, make your modifications. Step 3, targeting. Step 4, traffic allocation. Step 5, third-party integrations with, analytics tools like GA. So definitely it is intuitive. If it is your first time, I think even just taking that first step is such a big deal. Just get in touch with your CSM and make sure that you know how to use the tool to its full capabilities, and make sure that you have that conversion rate optimization roadmap prior to kind of starting anything.
Okay. Do you guys have a suggestion on what you usually suggest to test first? Like, hey, first test this, then we'll move on. Like, do you have like a couple things that you guys usually suggest to start with?
Definitely. I think it totally depends on the vertical and the industry that the client would be in. And then depending on that, I would say the most common ones are, nowadays we don't really see a lot of, changes of a color, changes of a, button, but a lot of the time copy is actually a really big deal in terms of making sure the copy on your CTA is relevant, informative, and it's going to take them to the right place, and it's not going to be too aggressive. So making sure that your copy is relevant has been really important. A lot of the times also, kind of testing on your navigation bar is probably going to be one of the first few things that a company is going to look into, because when you go into the site, maybe the first thing you're going to see is that nav bar so that you can navigate throughout the website and continue through your journey. So kind of sorting the elements inside of the navigation bar so that, the most relevant, the most important, the high traffic categories are first. And then maybe, the ones that are not that important, or maybe not that high, not a lot of high traffic on those pages, kind of go later on. So kind of using the sort function inside of A/B Tasty to kind of play around with the navigation bar is also a really good test idea.
Okay. Onboarding. How long does that usually take?
So onboarding, I think it also depends, on the client and, the person. But we offer 2 types of training sessions. So we have a virtual training session so that, we can get in touch with the client, kind of show them A/B Tasty's capabilities, give them some test ideas in terms of client testimonials or what other clients have done. Then we also have a premium training session where we go to the client's office. We have our, training session in terms of the A/B Tasty capabilities, but then we go over their optimization roadmap right there on the spot, kind of go over, their business goals, their KPIs, their metrics, and then also help them by building out their first 2 or 3 tests inside of the A/B Tasty editor right then and there. So it definitely can be anywhere from, a few hours to even that premium training session can be split up into like two days, just so that we get the maximum value, or the client gets the maximum value of the tool and knows what they're getting into.
Okay. So fantastic. I don't want to take up any more of your Friday. You've given us a ton of information. It's awesome. I really appreciate it. So I'm sure this video, we end up putting it up everywhere so people can see it in the future. So can you give us just some closing stuff for A/B Tasty, how everyone can find you, how they can look into more information, and obviously, ideally, how they can work with you too?
Sure. So if you, are interested in conversion rate optimization, interested, about A/B testing and personalization, definitely feel free to get in touch with me. You can definitely reach me at Peenaz, my first name, at abtasty.com, or you can also reach out to USA@abtasty.com. Definitely, I think A/B Tasty can be used for all types of departments, so not just digital marketing. So don't shy away from that. We are, intuitive tool, but we can definitely be complex as well for product teams and development teams as well. So if you haven't gotten started on testing and personalization on your website, now's the perfect time, and hopefully A/B Tasty can help you do that.
Perfect. Thank you, Peenaz.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time.
Enjoy your Friday, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
Take care now.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.